My wife is around 2 months pregnant. At first, I was overjoyed when I found out. But 10 days ago, she admitted having unprotected you-know-what with a colleague at work around the same time that she got pregnant. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, My Pregnant Wife Confessed to Cheating but Refuses a Prenatal Paternity Test. And guys, this story is about a guy. He is 27, wife's 26. Doesn't sound like they've been married that long. And long story short, his wife cheated on him. And not just cheated on him, but also with unprotected SCX. And upon getting caught, or at least confessing this, refuses to get a DNA test or paternity test, whatever you want to call it, even though this guy has every right to request that. And you're going to see how this guy handles the whole situation. He handles it quite well. In the end, of course. And guys, I'm doing this one just to show you how, number one, if DNA tests or paternity tests were mandatory, good Lord, you would have heart attacks going across the world all of a sudden, of all the gals dropping down, knowing darn well, oh shit, I'm going to be caught. And how guys, in my opinion, have a right to this, particularly after it gets out that the wife was cheating when, and is now carrying a child. Every guy, in my opinion, has a right to know. And I know darn well in some countries like France, a guy can't do that. The woman has to okay that. So I feel bad for the French brothers out there. When they're not rioting and striking over having their retirement raised to age 64, I feel bad for those guys. But anyhow, guys, I'm going to go through this right now, and you'll see more about this whole situation. So starts off saying, I might get blasted for mistreating a pregnant gal, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm mainly just using this to crystallize my emotions in writing and vent. My wife, a 26-year-old female, is around 2 months pregnant. At first, I was overjoyed when I found out. But 10 days ago, she admitted to having unprotected SCX with a colleague at around the same time she got pregnant. Hear that? He was so happy and overjoyed. I mean, not all guys are happy and overjoyed about hearing their wife is pregnant, but this guy was. And then he finds out. And that's a shame. And she had to have unprotected, I might add, with a coworker. Talk about cliche. This has been the longest 10 days of my life. I'm humiliated by the betrayal. I've decided to stay in the marriage. Smack. Dude, really? If I am in fact the father of the child. But emotionally, there's no way I can take the stress of it possibly not being mine for 7 more months. The anxiety has been eating me alive every day and night for the past week. So I told her today to do a prenatal paternity test so we can know for sure whose child it is by the end of the week. He has every reason to want this done. Now, I have heard that the prenatal thing, at least in the past, was super dangerous, but now there's a different type of procedure with the blood samples and all that it's much safer and all that. She refused, of course she did, and said that she would be way too stressed if we did that, and that the stress hormones coursing through her body would be good for the baby. Oh, there's a convenient excuse. Maybe she doesn't want to do this because she knows darn well the odds are very strong that this child's somebody else's and this guy's gone. This guy should be out of there anyway. I point out how short-sighted this is, since I would do the paternity test eventually anyway, and would just shorten the stress for both of us if we found out who the father is by the weekend. I also said that even if we decided to get divorced right now, we would still be married by the time the child is born, so I would be a legal father by default, if that is what she wanted. She still refused and said there's no way she's going to do it and get a prenatal paternity test. So, in my opinion, she's playing poker. She probably, in her mind, thinks that this guy won't go far enough, to demand this test or kick her to the curb or something. I was pretty infuriated by this point, so I ended the conversation by saying that if she doesn't get the test, I would refuse to stay at the hospital when she's in labor, refuse to sign any paperwork acknowledging me as the father, get a paternity test, and legally challenge my paternity as soon as I find out the child isn't mine. Good, bro. If she wants to play hardball, batter up. If she continues to refuse the paternity test, I'm considering divorcing her even if the child is mine. You should divorce her. She had unprotected, you know what? and you don't even know if this child is yours. You obviously been married that long, end it. Okay? And if in fact the child is yours, fine. 50-50 custody, etc., etc. You can't trust her. I've lost most of my feelings for her after hearing about the cheating. If the child is mine, I should be eligible for joint 50-50 custody, even though it will be for a very young child. My wife and I also make about the same amount of money, so I shouldn't even be paying her any alimony or child support either, especially if we get 50-50 custody. So I should be clear legally. We can hope. But there is no way I can take this for 7 months more. I don't know what else to do. Now, we're going to have his update as to what happens, and unfortunately it ain't pretty on a few fronts. It says here, I never found out whether I was the father or not. She miscarried not long after I made the post, and a test was never done. Or honestly, she may have just terminated it. I hope that the child, whether mine or not, is at peace right now. But quite frankly, I would rather not just think about more of this whole situation anymore. I just want to move on with my life at this point. I don't know what happened to the child. You think he might know if she terminated or not, but I feel bad for that child. However, isn't it interesting that this happened after he pretty much said, look, this is what's going to happen. The divorce was pretty swift and straightforward. We make similar income, so there wasn't really much to contest. I let her keep the house, and she paid me my half of the equity. It was a pretty silent and emotionless split. I just want to go on my own separate life, and maybe she felt the same way. Thank God. Okay, he obviously wasn't married to her too long. He can move on, and because they weren't married too long, he got his half of the ownership, the equity in the house. They both make about the same amount of money. They weren't married too long. A rare case when a guy can walk away, and it's not that bad. But again, he doesn't know if this was his kid or not that died. As an aside, I want to address the comments in the old post claiming that a prenatal paternity test would cause a miscarriage. I asked her for a non-invasive prenatal paternity test that would have not caused any harm to the mother or the child. It would have just been a simple blood draw from the pregnant mother and a cheek swab from the suspected father. Things have been rough, but I'm looking forward to the future. I've been working out and sauna bathing regularly, which has improved my mood quite a bit. I might go back to school for a master's degree, really increases income potential in my line of work. Thanks for all the well wishes, strangers. Your kind words provided me with a lot of hope in a dark time. Well, you know what? That sucks that happened to the guy on multiple fronts, but you know what? It shows you a guy can move on. Now, thank the Lord, at least this happened early on. And I can't remember, honestly, even though I should, how he found out. It just says that she confessed to him. Did she confess because something got out, or just she was feeling guilty? I don't know what. But even still, staying with her would have been a complete mess. But there are guys out there that would have done it regardless, you know. But even if the child was his, he shouldn't have stayed with her anyway because she's a cheater and a liar. And there's just no future with someone like that. But a lot of guys would do that thinking that's the honorable thing to do, or have that old-fashioned mentality and spend a miserable life with her. And of course, she would treat him like shit because he stuck around, and you know how that goes. Now, I'm going to read a few comments here to wrap this up. One guy says here, I'm getting a strong feeling that she had a procedure because she found out that the OP wasn't going to step up and help parent. I also don't blame him at all for wanting a prenatal DNA test too, because it's just going to be a legal battle later on, even if it ends up prevailing. I just don't understand what his wife's end goal was. Did she think everyone was just going to live happily ever after or not, knowing who the father was? Who knows what she was thinking? She probably wasn't thinking. Probably the emotions were taken over. And that's not an excuse. It's just probably what happened. But of course, she could blame it on the hormones. Next one. Yeah, don't ever wait until the child is born if you're in a similar situation in the U.S. If a man gets their name on the birth certificate, in a lot of states it doesn't matter if he's the biological father or not. The state views you as having a legal obligation to the child. Correct. And believe me, the state doesn't want to have to pay. Next one. If she admitted it, it's likely that it wasn't a one-time thing and she's trickle-truthing him. Yes, I meant to say that. The odds are he's getting the bare minimum of the truth. And it's probably going on far longer than he thought. My guess is she had a longer affair and pretty much knew it wasn't her husband's, and she knew she was going to get caught. Her refusal to get a test was either an attempt to get the OP to eventually give up asking and accept the kid so they can be normal again. Or, being a cynic, she could have been trying to stick him with child support payments for the divorce she knew was coming. That's possible. Another one, he says here, he gave her far more leeway than I would have. I'm filing divorce right now and filing for a paternity test immediately. I'll agree to 50-50 the child is mine, but there will be no more relationship outside of co-parenting. Another guy says here, I seriously doubt it was just a one-time thing with the colleague. Cheaters are never honest and always trickle truth even when they claim to be remorseful. That is a common theme to these stories. That she refused the paternity test also indicates she knows it's more likely not to be the OP's. Also, while miscarriages are more common than acknowledged, I still do think there's a fair chance the ex-wife aborted once her non-reality bubble got popped and realized that no one was interested in playing happy family with her. I don't see a high chance a self-aborted cheater would be willing to carry a child to term in this situation. Glad the OP was resolute in getting away from a cheater and hope he's on the mend. He'll be all right, as these guys are. It's amazing when I do these stories, particularly the guys that write into me on my other channel, Strong Successful Male, which if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. They write their personal stories, and I usually get updates. And they go through hell, she's cheating, or I don't know what, and they think they'll never be okay again. And they write me later on down the road, and they're doing better. They usually start getting outside and exercising, joining a gym, eating healthy, hanging out with the friends they haven't hung out with in a while. They start going back and doing the activities and hobbies they used to like because they gave up on them for her. That very common thing there. And they start over. And even though they didn't think they could, they are. And they take it day by day, and they're all right. So for any of you guys out there that maybe are in a bad situation like this or get into one day, remember, you don't have to stay in it forever. Your life is short. And even if people have a problem with you getting out of a bad marriage or relationship, you got to take care of you, because believe me, nobody else is going to. I'm telling you that right now. Life is too short to stay with somebody that treats you so badly and treats you like crap, cheats on you, all that. It is best to just cut your losses, just like a bad investment, and move on. And take it day by day. Surround yourself with people that care about you, and you will be okay, and start over. And you'll be all the wiser the next time. That's all you can do. But I share these stories in hopes that guys that learn, they hear these things, and they don't make the same mistakes that all these guys make, or they can see the red flags. They'll say, this situation with my girlfriend or my wife sounds awfully familiar to that story that SSM did 6 months ago. And they knew all the signs to look out for, etc., etc. That's why I do what I do. Anyway, clearly I'm in the mood to talk. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And also, guys, you come across a good story you think I should share, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it. I definitely will if it's a good one. Also, guys, if you haven't done so already, definitely subscribe to my other channels, Strong Successful Male and SSM Clips. I'm definitely trying to really grow all three channels this year. And the more people subscribe, the more YouTube thinks, hey, this is a great channel, and they'll recommend it, and I'll grow, and you can piss off more feminists. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.